Today we're going to talk about my new favorite pedal, the Marshall Blues Breaker. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Guitar Gear Trader. I'm Steve, coming at you from Nashville, Tennessee, and thanks again. Today we're going to talk about an acquisition I made while I was on vacation. But first, if you don't mind, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. It really makes a difference for me. It gets me out there in front of more people. And if you like my show, it'll give you notifications. Please leave a comment too, and hit me up on Instagram at Guitar Gear Trader, and I will talk to you there as well. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about this little guy, the Marshall Blues Breaker, which I acquired the same time I got this amp, this little Rocker 15. So if you watched last week's episode, and if you didn't, I'll link it down below, or I'll link it at the end of this video. I was on vacation. I went down to Panama City Beach for a week, and it was lovely. I really enjoyed that vacation. Never been there before. It's my first time there. I've been to other beaches in Florida, but never to Panama City. Really good oysters. Check it out. Very good. But while I was down there, I had to do what I had to do, right? I had to do my thing and guitar gear trade and see what was around the local area. So sadly, Panama City Beach doesn't have a lot of things for sale, and that makes a lot of sense because it's a tourist destination, right? Most of the people there aren't there for a long time. They're there for a good time, right? They go down, they hang out on the beach, they party a little bit. A lot of spring breakers are there, and then they go home. But in the vicinity, the surrounding areas, about 40 to an hour away, 40 minutes to an hour away, there was plenty of stuff to be had. And I found this one gentleman who was a really cool guy. He recently had a music shop that shut down, and he had a lot of old new stock. So everything was brand new with tags on it. And I was lucky enough to get this little orange Rocker 15 for about half price, brand new with the tags. I literally just took the tag off of this thing before I did this video. I also got from him a Jackson Audio Golden Boy distortion pedal, which is like a $250 to $300 pedal, brand new. I got it for like $100, $150. And I might be selling that actually, because this guy, I love this pedal. I can't get enough of this pedal. And I want to play it for you a little bit later. But I got to tell you the story about how I got it first. That's the whole point of this channel. So after I did the video on this amp, and after I did the video on the Golden Boy pedal, I was still on Facebook Marketplace. And at this point, my family's down there with me. Half the week my family wasn't there, and half the week my family was there. So I was on my phone, flipping through my phone, and I saw a picture of the Blues Breaker on Marketplace, and it said $1. Now, usually when it says $1, that you look at the description, and it'll say, throw me an offer. It's brand new. Looking for trades. It'll give a description. It's not. They're not actually asking for $1 for it. So in the description, it said, not exactly what I needed it for. Thought it would be best for what I was going to use it for, but ended up not being. Throw me an offer. That was the whole description, and it was like it was brand new, hardly used, didn't fit what I needed it to do. Throw me an offer. So, being the guy I am, trying to get the best deal I possibly can, I go on. Now, I don't know a lot about this pedal, and you might know, and in the past I've said I'm not much of a pedal person. So, I'm looking for the absolute best price I can get, because, like I said, I'm not much of a pedal guy. I rather use the distortion that's coming out of the amp if I possibly could. So, I find out that this pedal, brand new, goes for $189.99, brand new from Sweetwater. They have an open box for $167, but brand new, it's a $189 pedal. So I went out on a limb, because do I need this pedal? Probably not. I have a Scran distortion pedal that I use that I get pretty good tones out of. I just bought the Jackson Golden Boy from the guy who I bought the amp from a day or two before. So do I really need this pedal? And I don't know much about it, other than people really, really like it. I know it has a good reputation, but other than that, I don't know much about it. So I'd say 50 bucks. In the conversation, I just say 50 bucks, question mark. And he said, sure, absolutely, why not? And I was like, no way, this guy just said he'll take 50 bucks for this pedal. Even if I resell it, that's a great deal. I can resell it for maybe 125 or even 100 bucks. I doubled my price. So I asked him, where he's at, and his location said Panama City. So I thought it would be really close. Well, Panama City and Panama City Beach are not exactly the same. What I found out was it was about a 40-minute drive. So I bribed my wife and kids with ice cream and mini golf, and I said, listen, if you go with me to pick this pedal up, I will treat you guys to ice cream and mini golf on the trip, which I was going to do anyway. So, and they were like, yay! So we got in the car and we started driving 40 minutes out into Panama City, and I pull up, and there's this gentleman. His name is Rob, and he brings me into his house, and he's like, oh, here, it's right in my room. And he opens the door to this studio. And I could not believe my eyes when I saw the studio. Let me show you what it looks like. I took a picture of it. I liked it so much. So here is Rob's studio. I could not believe what I walked into. Now, I have a little rinky-dink setup right here. I have a desk. I have a soundboard. Not as big as his fancy soundboard. I have a typical Behringer soundboard. I got my light in front of me to brighten my face up. And for the most part, I just have guitars and amps everywhere. I don't have this whole setup. Look at the bar that goes across the top that's holding 4K cameras, microphones, LED lights. He's got 1, 2, 3 monitors in front of him. He's got monitor speakers. He's got a pedal. He's got like a little platform that holds like 4 or 5 pedals, and he's got a keyboard in front of him. Plus he had an iPad. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe the setup this guy had. So I say to him, wow, this is some setup you got here. I bet you have a YouTube channel, don't you? And he goes, yeah, I do. I say, no way, so do I. So we talked about each other's channels, and I subbed to his and he subbed to mine, and I am going to share with you his channel. And I would ask that you please, please, please go to Rob Taylor's YouTube channel and subscribe to Rob, because this guy could not have been a nicer guy. We started speaking after this through our Facebook discussion with the pedal, and he's just a really nice dude. Okay, his name is Rob Taylor. His channel is very hard to find, and I don't know why it's hard to find, but it is. And I will link it in the description, so it'll be a direct link directly to his channel. But his handle is @AutismMusician, and currently he's got 23 subscribers. I would really love for him to get a lot more subscribers than that. And here's his little biography. He says, I'm Robert. I love making ambient new age atmospheric music. I also happen to have autism. I've been listening to Celtic and new age styles of music since the 1980s, and I started making my own music about 2 years ago. Some of my favorites are David Arkenstone, Enya, and more recently Martin Stutzer, if I said that right. He's my idol. His music is what I hope music will one day become. Okay, so I'm not going to read everything on here, but he has a Gmail account as well, autismmusician@gmail.com. And he is an absolutely wonderful dude. And I really, really highly suggest that you subscribe to his channel. He played me some really cool ambient music that he was playing with that kind of reminded him of music that was like in the background of video games and stuff. And it was he's a really talented guy, really talented musician, and lovely, lovely man. So please do me a favor, subscribe to Rob's channel. And he gave me a killer deal on a great pedal. So it's the least I could do is promote his channel for him a little bit. So please do that. And Rob, thanks again for the pedal. He actually tried selling me a couple other pedals. I didn't have enough money. He had a bunch of Strymon pedals. I had the Flint, Strymon Flint, and he had one more of those digital reverb or delay pedals that Strymon has. I forget the names of them off the top of my head, but he had a whole bunch of those pedals. But here's the pedal, and it's a very simple pedal, and that's why I like it. It has, let's see if I can bring it in a little bit more off the rig here. Okay, so it's a pretty simple pedal. It's only got 3 knobs, and that's one of the reasons I like it. And I did a lot of research on the pedal prior to buying it from Rob. It's a pretty big case. It's hefty. It's going to take up some space on your board, so know that. it's got a gain, a tone, and a volume. And this pedal was made, I think, back in the 90s originally, right? This is a reissue of the pedal. And it was made famous, I'm pretty sure, by John Mayer, from what I read and what I understand. John Mayer uses a Blues Breaker. And he kind of made this famous because these didn't do very well on the market. And then all of a sudden, John Mayer's using one, and then everybody wants one. What I found interesting about it was that the gain knob doesn't really do much until you get it kind of cranked. And once you get it cranked, it really gets distorted, but not like a heavy metal distortion, more of like a classic rock distortion or like a bluesy distortion, Blues Breaker, right? The tone knob, I kind of leave the volume and the tone knob at noon, and then I just kind of mess with the gain. You have to mess with the volume knob a little bit to match your amp's volume, because it will suck a little bit of volume out of your amp once you engage it. But once you have that matched up, and then when you hit the button and it's all the same level, it's a really killer amp. Now, the reason I got this pedal was because my band that I'm in right now, my little cover band that I'm in at the moment, we're doing a lot of different kind of music. And I don't just need heavy metal kind of sounds or just classic rock sounds or just at the edge of breakup sounds. I kind of need all of them, to be honest. We play a little bit of Tom Petty. We play a little bit of Judas Priest. We play a little bit of AC/DC. And a lot of you guys might think the AC/DC uses a ton of gain. They really don't use a ton of gain. We play a little bit of Metallica. So there are lots of things, lots of different sounds that I need. And that's why I bought that Marshall JVM, thinking I could program a lot of different types of distortion onto that foot pedal. But then I decided, you know what? I'm going to trade that amp, by the way. So for those of you who are wondering about that JVM Marshall, I'm trading it. That's another episode to come in the future. I might be getting something really cool in place of it. But I'm kind of limited now to the gain that's on the amp and whatever pedals that I'm using. And I've done a lot of research, and a lot of guitar players have multiple distortion or overdrive pedals on their pedal board. It's a very common thing to have multiple overdrive pedals. And for someone who doesn't use a lot of pedals, that kind of doesn't make sense to me, but now it does, right? You can have one overdrive pedal for one type of distortion, you have another overdrive pedal for another. Okay, so what I basically need, if I'm going to use orange amps, because it's really what I like to use. I love orange amps. I also got a Friedman that I'm dying to try with the band, and that might be a really good go-to amp as well. But that orange amp gives me like that middle crunch. Okay, so that middle kind of AC/DC, Judas Priest, Living After Midnight kind of thing. It does that really, really well. It does that classic overdriven British drive tube amp sound. So that's what the amp itself is going to give to me. Not necessarily this one, because this is a tiny little guy. I have a Rockerverb 50 and I have a TH30, which can get really loud and get really gainy. And that's what I'm basically going to use the amp's distortion for. For this, I thought this would be really, really good for the songs that are more classic rock, that are a little bit more on the edge of breakup, but not necessarily clean, right? Like Tom Petty stuff. Tom Petty stuff, there's lots of jangly, clean 12 strings, but there's also a little bit of gritty Mike Campbell Telecaster in the back, or a little bit of gritty, Gold Top, Les Paul Gold Top in the back of a lot of those songs. And I'm the rhythm guitar player, and that's the stuff that I'm going to be playing in the background anyway. So, but it gets heavier than what I thought. Once you get that gain to about 3/4, it gives you something to work with there. So what I want to do is I want to just play it for you. I'm going to play through a couple of different guitars to give you what it sounds like through single coils and what it sounds like through humbuckers, and we'll check it out, and I'll tell you what I'm doing on the knobs as we go along. All right, so let's check it out. Okay, so what I have here is I have my orange Rocker 15 set to full power, so I'm using all 15 watts. It's mic'd up with a Sterling ST155 microphone. I know this isn't necessarily an instrument mic, it's more of a vocal mic, but I can't find my SM57 at the moment, so it's going to have to do. And I have my Blues Breaker going into the amp and then going into my Strat, Professional 2 GT11 Strat. I have the tone and volume on the pedal set to noon. I have the gain set to about 25% or 9 o'clock if you want to do the clock thing. I'm in the first position of the Strat. So let's hear the tone of the guitar without the pedal on. Okay, so let's pop on our pedal here. You already hear a noise reduction. You have to mess around with the volume to get it up to where you need it. It made the guitar a lot warmer. It took a lot of that bite away from the single coils. So I'll put it off. Now there is no EQ on the amp for the clean channel. It's literally just a volume knob. All the EQ is for channel 2, the dirty channel. It kind of takes the bite off of it a little bit, which is kind of cool. Kind of leave it on all the time if you like that tone a little bit better, but if you switch it up to the second position, it'll take that off. Or even the third position. And if you want, you can roll the tone up a little bit to make it a little bit more bitey. Okay, let's put the gain up to about noon. Let's bring down that volume a little bit and put the tone closer to noon again. Off, clean tone. Still gonna need that volume boost. It's not much gain. It's halfway up on the amp, but on the pedal, but there's really not much gain coming from that pedal. Okay, so let's bring up the gain a little bit more. So we're talking about maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock maybe. Now we're starting to get a little bit of breakup. Right, so from noon to about 1 o'clock. Now we're starting to get into that, you know, classic rock, or I don't want to say light rock. I don't consider Tom Petty light rock, but more of that, you know, classic rock kind of sound. It's just enough crunch for me, right? That's where I like to be. I don't want to play Tom Petty and make it sound like AC/DC's playing, doing a cover of Tom Petty. I want it to sound a little bit more mellow. I don't want to be in the face I just want to kind of, you know, fill up the space in the back. If we put it up even more, we'll go 3/4 up. That's where I really like it on like my Les Paul, but we'll take a look at it on the Strat. Gives really nice crunch on there, especially for the Strat. Okay, let's see if we can do a little bit of Weezer on it. Pretty cool. Let's switch it up and see how it sounds through some humbuckers. Okay, so we have my 2013 Gibson R9. Love this guitar. It's probably one of my favorite guitars that I have in the collection right now, if not the favorite. It's the favorite one to play, that's for sure. I love taking this and using it with the band. So here's the clean tone. It's a lot louder than the Strat. again, I don't have a EQ on this amp. It's at about 1 or 2 right now. It's just about at 2 at volume level. So there's a pretty loud little amp for a 15 watt amp. But I can't adjust the EQ on the amp itself because it doesn't have one for the clean channel. It only has one for the gain. So that's the clean channel. Let's bring the gain down to 3 o'clock again with the tone at noon and the volume at around 9 o'clock. Let's see how that works out. Actually, let's put the volume down around noon. See if it sucks the volume like it did on the Strat. It does, right? Sucks the volume out a lot. So we're gonna have to bring that up to about 9 o'clock again. And it adds a lot of low end to it. So let's up the tone to about, oh, that's not 9 o'clock, that's 3 o'clock on the volume. Sorry about that, it's 3 o'clock on the volume. Let's go about 2.5 on the tone. That's pretty close. That's pretty close to it being off. There's a little break up there, not much. So let's put the gain up to about noon. Pretty good break up there. It does darken it a little bit. I'm going to bump up the tone a little bit on it. That's a really nice classic rock crunch right there. It's about noon on the gain. Could probably go even a little down on the gain if I wanted to get that Tom Petty. That's a little much for Tom Petty. Okay, let's go up to about 3/4 gain. This is where you're going to get into some AC/DC territory. Let's bring the tone down on that. And let's bring the volume down a little bit. And bring the volume up a little bit more. Say the volume's at about 1 o'clock, tone at about noon. Let's dime the gain. I think around 3/4 of the way up is like the sweet spot. It's not going to get you that real heavy metal sound, especially not through this little 10-inch speaker. If I were to put this through maybe a Marshall or maybe a, something that's 50 watts, I might get a little bit more edge out of it. Okay, but it seems to be pushing it as much as it's going to get pushed. But it's a great little pedal. And again, I'm not using it for heavy distortion. Okay, I can use that Jackson Audio, or I can just use the gain from the amp if I wanted to do that. But for this pedal, what I'm basically going to be using it for, I'm going to have it set to about noon on the gain, noon on the tone, and I'll just match the volume up, and I'll just use it as like a classic rock kind of tone here. So let's take a look at it on a Telecaster. Here I have my 1974 all original Fender Telecaster Custom. The only thing not original on this actually is the frets. It's been refretted. It's got nice new high frets on it, which makes it nice to play. And it doesn't have the regular strap locks. It has the locking strap locks on there. It's got a lot of cool mojo to it. It's been played. It's been loved. Okay, it came with this cool old Louisiana sticker, which I really thought was cool, and I dug that vibe. So I added my own sticker to it. For those of you Blackberry Smoke fans out there, I added the Ryman sticker to it. They had a special sticker for the Ryman show that they had. It's got a super hot bridge pickup that I cannot put on 10. I put it on 10 and it is super in your face. So I just back off of that just a tiny bit. Still has that telly sound, but it just, loosens it up or puts it down a little bit. So again, gain on noon, tone on noon, volume I have it up to about 3 o'clock, just because we've seen the volume get cut every time on the last two guitars. So let's check this one out. Sounds really, really nice with that gain up around noon and the tone up around noon and the volume at around 3 o'clock. Sounds really, really nice. It's on right now. Got that really nice telly tone to it. It gives it a little bit of bite. Here's off. With it on. Let's up the tone a little bit and up the gain just a bit to about 1 o'clock. Put the gain up to about 9 o'clock. Let's see if I can get to sound like Blackberry Smoke a little bit. Well, there you have it, everybody. It's my new favorite pedal. I'm really enjoying it. Sounds really cool. It's giving me just enough gain when I want it to sound like that cool classic rock kind of sound, but it also gives you a little bit more if you need it. So thanks for listening. Check me out next week. Leave a comment, hit subscribe, ring the bell, follow me on Instagram at Guitar Gear Trader. And until next time, peace out.